And he did apparently play a couple of games in his school career at Sax, even though he's from Paul.
Yeah.
Down another one there.
Mate, this is a Monday morning. You got your grumpy face on, eh? Let's lift the tempo a little bit, mate. It's getting a bit dark.
This show is brought to you by Auto and General, insurance that stands with you through every collision. Where do you want to start? Zels, Bulls, Boks, All Blacks, Northampton Saints, or the Hurricanes?
I think let's get the ugly stuff out the way. Let's talk about the Bulls and the URC final.
Why?
Because we have to.
Why?
Oh, mate. Shocker.
What a disaster. Message to the URC, please can we never have a Friday night final?
Yeah.
They were just awful, man.
They were absolutely and utterly awful. And I don't think it was a lack of effort, but I think there was some key fundamental stuff there that let them down in their plan, and maybe in some of their key players also just not coming to the party on the day. They looked like a team that were hungover. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say, mate. It was a shocking performance. Massive credit to Leinster for the homework they did. Their defensive line-out wrecked the Bulls, really put them under pressure. They were great in the air on their own contestables. Leinster won 8 of their 11 contestables, and they took control of the field, took control of the game. And the Bulls just didn't have answers. But, I mean, if you look at the waves and waves and waves of Leinster attack that the Bulls hunkered down to stop, only for the reward to be an unforced error by one of their key players, whether it was Kane Moody, Handré Pollard, Willie Leroux. You just can't do that in a final, especially against a team like Leinster.
But you look at the approach, and again, and you spoke about it, don't get seduced by the way they want you to play. Go back and play your own way. So everyone said the one area of strength is going to be the scrum. Okay. Get them at the scrum, force the penalties, either get field position or get early points. The first knock-on that comes our way, we decide to play. Vantage over, Polly drops the ball, they kick it through, 7-0.
Shocker.
So immediately that kind of, the mindset was, we're actually not in here to play finals rugby, we're actually in here to play and to show we can play. We scored the most points in the competition and we scored the most tries. Defense, unless you play Super Rugby Pacific, defense wins you finals, mate.
Wow.
And yeah, they just weren't mentally there. I mean, I agree 100% with Uckers. They played till 82nd minute, they tackled, but they just weren't in that game. They were on the ropes getting beaten. It's like it was just messy to watch, and I think the biggest disappointment for me, and we spoke about it, Handré Pollard, Willie Leroux, big name players. We felt if they're going to win it, these guys have to do the World Cup kind of special. And I don't think I've seen Polly play a worse game. Willie was as bad as he was in last year's final. And then a guy like Kane Moody, who we give such big raps to. Discipline the key. 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, and the guy's off. Like, that pass was going to a lock. Back yourself to turn and actually catch the lock. And if they score there, at least it's 15 on 15. It's again those small things of where Leinster just looks switched on. They looked switched on, and they certainly played to a plan. And that plan, the biggest influence in that plan was Jacques Nienaber. And funny how they never mentioned him during that final. It was Leo Cullen's team again.
Yeah.
But Jacques Nienaber will say, quarterfinal against the Lions, 1 try conceded. Semi-final against the Stormers, 1 try conceded. And final against the Bulls, 1 try conceded. And all those teams, the Lions and the Bulls, scored the most points. The Stormers had the best points differential. They couldn't put together more than 1 try, and they didn't look like they could put together more than 1 try. You know, there was a lot about the TMOs and 2 tries being disallowed. It would have had no bearing on the game.
Agreed.
22-0 down after 25 minutes. That game was done and dusted. And I ask you, ek vra vir u Zels, met trane in my oë, we've got to start well and not let them get a false start. If I ever hear that again.
Oh, we gave them a fast start. I mean, there was almost 38 minutes ball in play in that game. Your point about looking for tempo and trying to speed things up with unforced errors. You know, I think there's a thing in rugby where coaches go, look, we're not going to go away from what we do. But I think often that's wrong. I think you have to play who you're playing. And if you come up against a team that can punish you the way Leinster can, you have to adapt to that, I think. So, yeah, I must say in the semi-finals and the final, I felt like referees were very, very reluctant to give scrum penalties, which is, it's my perception, but if it's accurate, like that is a bit of a concern that the tendencies seem to change in the knockout rounds. I mean, those are obviously a core tenet of South African rugby, the scrum. And I thought the Bulls did a great job in the collisions of dominating Leinster. It's just the decision-making. And quite frankly, that just isn't good enough from those three Springboks. It's just not good enough that you can get to that part of the season and have guys who just need to tick the boxes and just do the fundamentals well, and your most experienced players just fade like that. I thought was obviously poor. But yeah, I mean, it's another final, another Bulls final, another loss. They are creeping up on Leinster for that mantle of struggling in finals, and I think that's something they're going to want to turn around. And they definitely have the capacity in that group. They've got some great players. Tipper they had to run, or Keo and Marcel Coetzee got through a year's work in those 80 minutes. Absolutely everywhere, making tackles, hitting rucks, massive work rate. That pack of forwards did their job. But whatever fruit they managed to reap from it was just kind of chucked out the window on the way to the airport. I mean, it was not good.
Disappointing end to what was a fantastic back end of the season. As you said, 4 final defeats now in 5. 4 in 4 that they've got to the finals in the 5-year competition. Akker's assistant coach and then head coach, 3 losing finals, Super Rugby with the Lions. So as well as they've done, that does then kind of start putting some form of doubt in your mind. It's like, done great all season, get through to the finals. They've got to get over that hurdle. The Bulls have to get over that hurdle, but also Akker. So there's lots to play for next year. And there's going to be a lot of changes in the Bulls setup. You know, saw an interview with one of these basketball players, and he said, look, we lost in the final. It doesn't make our season a failure. We're just going to come back and be better next season. We still got to the final. So I'm not saying their season was a failure.
No, absolutely.
I just feel that it was such a letdown because they went there with such hype, hope, and I felt conviction to actually knock over Leinster. But full credit to Jacques Nienhaber, Leo Cullen, and to the Leinster side. Gibson Park was outstanding at 9.
Very
Sam
good.
Prendergast, we said, was the vulnerability player of the match. James Lowe, Hugo Keenan from the back, looked like he was playing sevens. And they played like a champion team under pressure the whole season, and they delivered when it mattered most.
Yeah.
They got that 22-0 start, and hats off to them. Best team on the day.
Definitely.
And you've got to say then, best team on the day and best team on the back end of the competition. They played the playoffs like Bordeaux played the playoffs in the Vestic Champions Cup.
Yes, great shot.
Crushed the Lions. Basically were good enough to hang on against the Stormers with a lot of charitable ill discipline from the Stormers, and knew what they had to do to beat the Bulls, and they did it. So can we never talk about URC again till
On
September.
to the Boks.
Till September.
Please.
End of September.
Please. Curry Cup.
Curry Cup. No, we're not going to talk about the Curry Cup. No, look, I'm bitterly disappointed
Me
in
too.
the performance. And let's just hope that those Bulls players, there's 12 of them that are in the Boks squad, that we never see it from them again this season. Unacceptable.
Yes.
That is onaanvaarbaar. But as Rassie says, guys are allowed to have bad games because most of them have had great games for the
Interesting.
Bulls and the Springboks. Looking at the Springboks, mate, 80-31 against the Barbarians. I used to love the tradition of the Barbars and the Springboks. November, end of the year, always a good Barbarian side that's picked from guys who are on tour from the other countries. A shambles in the last 2 seasons. 54-7 in Cape Town last year. 80-31. Makes a mockery of that proud jersey. To get guys together on a Wednesday, they have a lot of drinks, they bond, then they got to go play a test team, and then they get 2 guys sent off in the first 10 minutes. It just makes a mockery of the whole thing. We enjoyed the occasion for the celebration. It was a hit out, a practice run, but you can take absolutely nothing from that game outside of the fact that some guys got introduced to wearing green and gold, and we potentially lost another lock. But I just, people are raving about, the Barbarians and that. I used to be a big fan of the Barbarians concept, not in South Africa and not at the end of June.
Mate, this is a Monday morning. You got your grumpy face on, eh? Let's lift the tempo a little bit, mate. It's getting a bit dark. Mate, so I thought the Barbarians were great for as long as the Boks were willing to entertain them. It's becoming a ritual now in Springbok rugby. start the season by reminding everyone why we don't play touch rugby, and then turn it back on and play test rugby. And I think the Boks in the second half, the defence, massive improvement. I saw Nick wrote something around that, or he was quoted something around that, the cohesion of the Boks in the second half when it was loaded more with Stormers. And I think that obviously is a thing when guys haven't played together for a long time in their first hit out. But it's not like the Barbarians have played 50 games together either. So I thought they did great, mate. They scored that long-range try that Warwick Galant unlocked for them, and it looked like it was going to be game on. I mean, I thought, okay, wow, we've got a game on our hands here. And then Rassie, obviously, at half-time, may have raised his voice a bit, and people understood that we needed to stop the other team from scoring more than us scoring points. And they scored 5 points in the second half, I think, and the Boks ran away with it. So when they turn it on, the Boks are unstoppable. In the Barbarians' defence, mate, Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium is at altitude, tough on the lungs. So that might be the reason they faded.
Could be Clifton there. That's tough on the legs. I mean,
that's sandy.
That's very sandy. I mean, that pitch. But looking at the game, it's exactly the SAA game, 45-0 against Zimbabwe. Rassie wanted to see 46 players, give them a hit out. They've been working together for 2 weeks. And then he announced a squad of 46 for the Nations Championship. 4th of July, we start that one at Ellis Park against England, Northampton Saints. They've won the Prem. A lot of those players will be in that England squad. They'll be confident. Watching that game at times, I was reminded of Australia's 38 unanswered points against Ellis Park and thinking, this is why we left Super Rugby. We just don't play like that. You don't pick those heavies and then try and play like that. And but like you say, we pulled it back in the second half. And in the end, there was nothing left in their legs. That's the Barbarians in the last 50 minutes. Most points they've ever conceded, 80. Most we've ever scored against them, 80. And yeah, glad that one's out the way. And I'm glad some of the players got a run. Rassie's squad, 6 uncapped players, 2 kids, Vusi Moyo at 10. He's just turned 20. And Riley Norton, 20 years old, S-under-20 captain, Polaris boy, in the Stormers system. Didn't get a crack at the Stormers. He was playing in the junior ranks. 8 locks picked ahead of him this season. Rassie put him straight in, an 82-minute effort. He looked like he belonged.
Mate, he was outstanding. Both of those guys, Riley and Vusi, I thought were excellent. Riley got through a bucket load of work, was everywhere, involved in everything, and has that sort of bulletproof sparkle to him. Youngster on the scene, massive athlete. I see he's in the Boks squad as a utility forward. I wouldn't be surprised to see him at 7. He may be the next Peter Steph du Toit. I thought he was outstanding, and I thought he acquitted himself very well. And then Vusi Moyo, real spark. I mean, there's a guy with a massive boot, not shy to use it, but then also really showed some creativity to which led to Faf's try, linking up with Paulie D on that pop and loop. And I thought he was very, very good. Very excited to see where he goes. All in all, I think the guys that got their opportunities did well. Like, Q and Horn at 10, it wasn't a seamless, perfect performance, but I thought it was quality. He looked like a guy who's played fly-off before. He didn't look out of his depth at all. I suppose, we'll talk about his defense a little bit. Probably hasn't defended a lot in that channel, but his kicking game was good. His creativity was there. He made a lot of guys miss, made lots of meters, ball in hand, per carry. So I thought he did a great job. I thought it was a good outing for everybody there. I think, if anything, a little bit of the cohesion was missing. And I think maybe in the rush to kind of impress with ball in hand, the defense paid a little bit of a price on that in the first half.
You talk about Peter Steph du Toit. Hasn't played a game for a year. Comes out, has a gallop for 47 minutes. Looks like he's never been gone. Comes off. Within 10 minutes, he's back on. Franco Mostert limps off, and he just gallops around till the 82nd minute. What does that guy have in his veins? That engine of his, it's just incredible what happens when he puts that Bok jersey on.
Absolutely, mate. That hamstring tendon or knee ligament or whatever that he got from his old man, they got to test that thing, because I don't know what it is about that guy. He's diesel. He just goes and goes. No, he's phenomenal, obviously. 2-time World Player of the Year. Hell of a player. Great to see him back. Great to see him get through it. Before the game, I said Franco Mostert was probably the most important player strategically for the Boks, for him to run the lineouts, and then Sos is out injured. So the spotlight really is turning hard on the lock department in terms of what are we going to do there. And for me, and I've said this for a couple of years now, Peter Steph du Toit is a guy who I think can and should slot in at lock for us, because we've got options around the back row, but at lock, it's starting to get a little bit thin at the moment, especially when you look at the sort of age range of the guys that are available there. So, but yeah, fabulous to see him back doing what he always does, and let's hope it's another injury-free season.
If you look at the 46 that he picked, any surprises in who's in and any omissions that you thought, I thought they were closer to that 46 than is the actual case?
So, yeah, for me, and I mean, Rassie's got his plans and he knows what he's doing, obviously. But for me, the age of some of the guys, I think, is something that needs to be looked at. As much as we're going to go Dad's Army and have all this depth, I think, you look in the front row there, a guy like Neetling Forshire not making it, I think, is an interesting call. I feel like maybe he's a guy who's close to his prime and probably has a bit more legs in him than some of the older guys that are there at tight head prop. I would have looked at that. But it's a 46-man group. There's a lot of rugby coming. A lot of things could still change. As you've seen with Faf rolling back into the squad, it's not like if we don't pick you, it's over forever. So it's possible he got banged up in that game and isn't available. I don't know. But I mean, it's a hell of a strong squad. When you consider how many guys are unavailable or injured, and you look at that group, it is something to behold. I see Franco Mostert is in that group, so hopefully there's a chance that injury isn't too severe.
But if you look at that group, there was a lot of talk about JJ van der Merwe, Northampton lock, came off the bench, won the Prem, not in the mix when we do have some issues around locks because of injuries. Were you surprised that he wasn't picked? Or do you think he's not good enough to play for the Springboks?
Yeah, look, I think JJ is a hell of a rugby player. In any other country, he probably starts for them. But for South Africa, those guys that are like high impact but maybe medium work rates don't seem to feature in Rassie's plans. He wants guys like Ruan Nokia, who maybe aren't going to make a massive dominant tackle and knock your head off your shoulders, but they're going to make 15 to 25 tackles a game. So I think work rate is a KPI in the second row. And I'm not sure whether JJ is a top performer in that category. So I've got no doubt, ball in hand and in the collision, he's going to be an absolute monster. But it's unlikely that a guy at that weight, you look at Will Skelton, it's not like he's getting around the field making 30 tackles a game, I don't think. So I would have been surprised if JJ featured for us.
If you look at the 23 that played, now we know no Bulls players were available. They were still in the Guineas tent afterwards. That was just kind of trying to forget what happened on Friday night in Dublin. Friday Night Lights. 23 will play against England in a fortnight's time. I kind of estimated maybe 8 of the 23 will be in that 23. Do you see more than 8 that played this weekend?
I mean, mate, this is a fool's errand trying to guess what Rassie's going to do, right? I mean, Kieran could start against England at 10. Who knows? I would think that there would be quite a few of those Bulls worked back into the mix. I think you'd probably have a larger contingent of those. And I think anything that's sort of close to experimental might be shelved a bit more. You might sort of go true to type. He's got Scotland and Wales after that, which you could, play around with your selections there a little bit more. But I think he'd want to make a good start against England. And that's the whole point of the Barbars game, is to make sure that the guys are going into the first game of the season, the first test of the season, having fired a few rounds of live ammo. So I think he'll have sort of noted those learnings from that game, but I think we'll see probably something closer to I wouldn't say full-strength team, but as strong as possible.
So if you look at the back three, I mean, Kirtley and Cheslin, you'd like to think they picked themselves there with Damian Willems at 15. Mm-hmm. Deolandi with Andre the Giant. As we said, he plays that hybrid role, flank or centre coming off the bench with Jesse Creel. Marnie LeBox, the favourite to start at 10. Grant Williams at 9. That same loose trio. Eben, they said, will be back for the England game. His lock partner is up for debate. And then the front row, you're looking at the Grubbies of the world, Gerard Steenekamp, Oxenchair, Wilco Lowe. It's kind of that type 5 pretty much picks itself. But that's a fairly formidable team and very different to the team that went out and played Barbars rugby.
No, totally. And I mean, the way that they play will be very different, like you just alluded to. So, and he's got options across all of those positions. It's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is around getting the team ready for this greatest rivalry tour, but also obviously chasing the Nations Championship title. You've got teams from the UK coming down here, obviously travelling south, don't have a great record in South Africa. And the Boks, this is what he does so well, is there's never a game, like they won 80-31, and there's a big but around it, right? You say, but, they they can be better on defense. Like Rassie balances it perfectly, that these guys never ever pop the champagne corks on all the bottles. Like, you can have a drink after the game and enjoy, but just remember, you missed 4 tackles. We need to work on that. You better be ready for the next one. So I think the guys are primed for a good performance against England.
Well, it's certainly those Bulls players are coming back with more humility than kind of
time.
Hoden.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It works perfectly for the Boks, if not necessarily for the Bulls last Friday night. But looking at the Boks setup, and we asked you on SA Rugby Magazine, on the Keo Zels WhatsApp group, SA Rugby's WhatsApp group, to vote for your player of the game, and it's powered by ANG, our show sponsor, and the answer was Riley Norton. Are you surprised? That was the fans' vote, Riley Norton.
I mean, South Africans know their rugby. I thought he was absolutely fabulous. So whoever it was that has a drinking game, please down now. No, I thought it was very good. And I'm glad that he got voted that award. I thought he took that opportunity with both hands.
And he did apparently play a couple of games in his school career at Sax, even though he's from Paul.
Yeah,
down another one there. So Riley Norton, sound like Nick Mallet there. Riley Norton, just a wonderful, wonderful performance. And it's not often you hear Rassie talking about a guy in the build-up to a game with such wonderful praise. And he spoke about Riley Norton as having an aura and a presence and a leader of men. This is a 20-year-old kid. Picked him straight up, not in the A side, but in the Springboks. And he went out and he emptied the tank for 82 minutes and he looked like he belonged there. So that old thing is, when the doctor speaks, listen. He knows what he's kind of seeing in players, and he's got all the data to go with it. But I also just think, just from my limited interactions with him, you've obviously done a lot more interactions with him being with the Stormers. But such a bright lad, good stock, good schooling, academically strong, wonderful, talented cricketer, played SA under 19s. It really does help if you've got a brain and you play this game.
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes in some positions, right? A guy with a brain at 4 or 7, that's you're breaking new territory there. I mean, historically, you look at the guys that have played there and done very well. All due respect to Buckies and the boys, probably not the sort of rocket scientists of the world. And I think you need to have that mentality to go out there and smash people and put your body on the line and not care what the probability of injury is. So I think he's got a massive, bright future. You've mentioned what a great athlete he is. And I think when you pair that, like, leadership value, that physicality, and the ball skills, you've got a special talent on your hands. You mentioned earlier you think Marnie's going to be the guy who starts at 10 for the Boks against England. Is Andre not in the driver's seat there, you don't think?
No, I think that game, Tony Brown loves Marnie Lebok. And I think it's also, Andre's got a lot of, put in a lot of mileage for the Bulls in the last 2 months. Strategically, if you see Marnie Lebok rested, Damian Williams arrested for this Barbarians game, I think they will be the starting ones. I think he will use a lot of different players in this Nations Championship. You may find 3 different flyers start 3 different tests, but I think Marnie would have the inside, with Sasha injured. I think Marnie's got the inside edge there in combination with Graham Williams. They've always done well together. And again, he knows exactly what he's got with Polly when he has to kind of bring him out to win big games for him. You know, we saw that last year when we had that bad stumble, Ellis Park. Polly came to Cape Town, 15 points, player of the match, 30-15, got our confidence back, and off we went again. So, I mean, the one thing he does do is he knows the value of his players and kind of knows where he wants to play them. And we saw that last year, 50-odd players played throughout the season, 11 wins out of 13. I think you're going to see a lot more of that this season. He's not going to be afraid to make 12 changes from 1 week to the next.
Yeah.
And he showed that last year. Those guys are good enough to play there and good enough to win. But it was a great hit out for the Boks, and like Franco's injury, the only kind of like downer. But nice to see the youngsters there. Nice to see those youngsters in the SAA game. Yaku Williams, really enjoy the way he plays. Got a great work rate. Yakeem Ahmed, the 10 from Province Stormers and ex-Weinberg Boys High. I think he's got a lot of talent.
Big time.
And just good to see the guys get stuck in. And then again, like you said, the cohesion of those Stormers guys that came on. And when they did play in their club kind of combinations, when Paulie came in with BJ and Evan Riss, there was just that that cohesion and intensity was there because they've played together for the last 6 months. So, yeah, I mean, it was the fun stuff. What we say, the real stuff starts when the Poms arrive, and it's going to be a big one. They've been wanting to play us for the last couple of years. So they arrive with a lot of confidence. But looking at our wonderful sponsor, Steco, as well, we do always have the Steco Hybrid Power Play of the Week. We had asked people to vote on the Bulls, but we're going to spare them the blushes. We couldn't find 3 players we could put there. So, Zels, you said, forget about going for the Bulls. You got to go for someone from a team that wins 80-31, and you have a personal favorite.
Mate, so in second place is Faf's try. I thought it was outstanding the way Rassie played Paulie D and then linked back up, and then Faf was on his inside for a great try on the sticks. But then, the one and only, the hybrid, Andre the Giant, just ran over 2 blokes like they weren't even there, mate, and scored himself under the sticks. And for me, that was the try. That was the try of the weekend. Special mention to Edwin van der Merwe, who showed that he's still got turbo speed. But I would say our hero of the week has to be Andre the Giant.
Some players choose a side. They've always said a back can never be a forward. But with Steco, Ryobi didn't just reinvent the rules. It changed the entire game. Hybrid tools for a hybrid craftsman. Steco, shaping the future. 40 years of Ryobi credibility.
All right, Zels, so I stayed up till 0200 so I could post a piece on Dave Rennie, first All Black squad, what it means for the Springboks. 34 players, 44 will come to South Africa for rugby's greatest rivalry, but 34 players for the Nations Championship. They start off against France, and then they finish off against Ireland. 2 interesting games there in Auckland. He's picked 22 players from the Super Rugby Pacific final, 11 from the Hurricanes and 11 from the Chiefs, 4 uncapped players. You like the fact that the big winners are back, as you say them. The first of those big winners is Josh Mwerby, who plays fullback and plays on the wing and scored 17 tries in the season.
100 kgs.
You say he's 100 kgs. And then the second one that everyone's talking about in New Zealand, the second winner, the outside back, is Fini Anafu.
We'll take it. I think it's Fani Anganofu or whatever. Point is, he's big and he's back, mate. He's 105 kgs. Hurricanes have scored 4 billion tries this season. Admittedly, you have to question the quality of Super Rugby's defense. But you look at Dave Rennie's squad, he's got Caleb Clark, those 2 blokes we just mentioned, Leroy Carter, and I think there's one other bloke.
He's got Will Jordan.
Will Jordan, how can I forget him?
And outside backs.
I think Dave Rennie has a few tricks up his sleeve, mate. I think that that sort of being able to play wide and look after your own breakdown with some big bodies is part of his plan, and maybe part of his sort of a layer in his plan in the kicking game as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how he applies that. It does give New Zealand at a time where it's BRE and these guys that are the superstars, Cheslin Colby. You know, it's the heyday of the diminutive speedster, and I just wonder whether Rennie isn't trying to unlock something from the past on the physicality side. We may see that from New Zealand to try and give them some sort of USP as they come into the series against South Africa after the Nations Championship run against France, Italy, and Ireland. So, interesting squad. Maybe not as many guys who are left field out of the box thinking guys. A lot of the same. But I think it may be in Rennie's methodology that we see some of the changes.
Only 4 new caps, 2 big winners who scored 34 tries between them out of 113. The Hurricanes, the most tries ever scored by a team in Super Rugby, Pacific or Super Rugby, pre-COVID. When we still played in it, and the Argentinian Jaguares played in it as well.
Listen, can I just say, while we're on the subject of Super Rugby Pacific, so the Hurricanes are the best attack and best defense. They play the Chiefs, who've got the second best attack and second best defense. And in the final, the difference between those 2 teams is 55 points. I'm not sure where Super Rugby's headed, mate, but I don't think it's up.
Yeah, look, we'll see where it's headed when the test season starts, because there was I was one of those guys lulled by Super Rugby last season. I said to you, they come in, watch it, they come in. And then they got decimated at Wellington, and England pulverised them. Australia gradually kind of just didn't have the depth in terms of the season. Test rugby, a different animal. Dave Rennie, when he got the job, said that he felt New Zealand had the players. He felt he knew the players he had to pick to compete with the likes of South Africa, beat them, and actually challenge for the World Cup. So he's pretty much picked 90% of the players that Scott Robinson picked. So it's going to show us, is there a difference in coaching? Does the coach make a difference, or is it just the bus that takes you to the ground?
Burn! It's coming. We're going to find out exactly as you say, man. He's got, look at the halfbacks there. He's got some great options. Cam Roygaard definitely in the short list of the best in the world. He's got the Colombian there, Cortez Ratima. He's got Kyle Preston, who I like. But you just see Beauden Barrett and Damon McKenzie there behind Ruben Love. And it's not that they're not great players. It's just that you can't see the All Blacks being different with either of those two guys at 10. You kind of feel like you have a very good picture of how they're going to play and what they're going to do. And is that going to be enough? So, I don't know. He went with the comfort of a guy like Anton Leonard-Brown, who's been playing rugby for him in Japan and obviously was the chief. And I think, ALB will know Rennie's defensive system and how to apply it. So there'll be some continuity there. You'll have a coach on the field who can make it happen. I think that's probably a good selection. But there isn't a lot in there around that. Wallace Atiti stands out as the guy who's going to be the crusher ball carrier, and Takiao, my personal favorite at hooker. But outside of that, you're just thinking, okay, we've seen these guys before. Who's next? I mean, that tight five is it's Cluedo. Who are they?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Safa Amur, he's been there and thereabouts, hasn't quite made the breakthrough at test level. He's a wonderful under-20 player. Cody Taylor, a veteran there. Ethan de Groot's had his moments. George Bauer, Xavier Numia, he's the new one. Tyrell Max has come back from injury, Fletcher Newell. And Pasilio Tosi, the lookalike guy from We Are the Millers. I'm talking about the cop.
That's him.
No, I'm not talking about the main actor. But when they do look vulnerable, is at lock. Josh Lord, Sam Derry, Tupavai, Patrick Tuipalutu. It doesn't seem to be the depth there, and that's always been. New Zealand have managed to survive with two locks for a decade and actually win world titles and win big championships. After the Super Rugby Pacific final, I sent you a text. What do you say now? I mean, the Hurricanes really turned it on. What an exhibition. And then I was like damning the Boks for doing the same thing for Barbarians later. And you said great backs, no forwards. And that will be the All Black squad. Is that a fair assessment?
I mean, I think it's close. They've got some guys in that pack who can play, but like Tupa Vai knocked himself out this weekend on another safe low tackle. So, I mean, I don't know where he's going to be at. Pat Tuipaluto, lovely bloke, good with kids, but doesn't really inspire fear, I don't think, amongst South African players. Josh Lord and Sam Derry, bread. So you're hoping that you're going to see more from these guys and that the All Blacks bounce back in some kind of way or fashion, but you can't see it in those players. And you've got no doubt that they're going to be competitive, they're going to push the Boks. That's the nature of this rivalry. But it feels like we're a long way away from Brodie Retallick and Sam Whitelock and some of the greats, the Ian Joneses, and you just feel like you're a long way away from that.
If you look at the squad, though, would you think that it's logical that Hurricanes will dominate that opening test match? Because he hasn't had much time to work with these players, that he will go combination specific in the beginning. And if you look what he's picked a Roygaard at 9, he's picked a Ruben Love at 10, Geordie Barrett at 12, Proctor at 13, the two big winners. It's basically Will Jordan at 15, and that completes a backline that's been playing together for the last 6 months.
I mean, that makes sense.
And that would make them as dangerous in terms of cohesion. And then the forwards become the mix and match. Obviously, Adi comes back. He's done a year with him in Japan. He played there, Adi sabbatical. He captains the side, the logical choice. He was always going to captain it. He was always going to pick him, especially with Scott Barrett being out injured. And then who do they put together from the tight five? It becomes a bit of a mix and match. But the old adage is, doesn't matter how good your backs are, if they're not going to get the ball, or if they're going to get under pressure, they may not look quite as flash.
No, well, exactly, mate. It all starts up front. And as much as we try and get away from that and make it about offloads and sidesteps, it's a physical game. You've got to be able to control the collisions on both sides of the ball, get momentum there, and everything is sort of a domino effect from there. So who knows? Maybe Rennie brings the best out of these guys. That's one thing Rennie can do, is he can take a sort of 12th ranked fighter and turn him into a world champion. He definitely knows how to bring the edge out of these guys. That was a hallmark of the Chiefs. And it's interesting that there are as many Chiefs in his squad as there are Hurricanes. So it may be that the Canes contingent starts the season, but slowly but surely he finds those blue collar guys in that Chiefs lineup and gets the best out of them. So, look, if anybody can do this gig and turn it around for the next World Cup, for me, Rennie is the guy for the All Blacks, and I'm very, very interested to see how this thing plays out.
You've always been a big Dave Rennie fan. You were surprised when the Wallabies let him go. You were surprised that he wasn't made the All Black coach, and when he was available, and then the Wallabies appointed him. So he's got this great record against South African teams. Won the under-20 final, coaching New Zealand. 18 out of 24 wins against South Africa's Super Rugby teams when the Chiefs went back-to-back. And then obviously when he was Wallabies coach, 3 wins out of 4 against Rassie and Jacques Nienaber. All those matches played in Australia just post the COVID era. So he likes to play against us, and he kind of gets up against us. But looking at those props, they've got guys who have been around, a mixture of old and young. But have they got anyone who can counter both the brain and the brawn of our degreed man, Oxen Che?
Ngwana wa Mobu, we honor you. Before the world knew your name, you already carried its weight. Leina le lenang, le tsholofelo le tshepiso. You took on the challenge with pride. To bury yourself deep in the work where there's no spotlight. In the years before anyone came looking, o itse go rwala tsohle mo matsogweng o sa bone. You rose and rose again. O itse gore tsohle tse di na di seri ka di tla ka bonako. Bagolo ba go ema nokeng. Children of our nation, you are not alone. Re na le lona.
We celebrate the professional.
We believe in you.
Profmed, proud supporter of South African professionals.
Oxen Che, I love that ad. Like our man Mike Charman, retroviral.
It is a great
the
ad.
brains behind that as well. But wonderful to see guys who do study and do get degrees and are proud of it. Ox, keep on scrumming, keep on thinking, and keep on giving back. And just closer to home for you guys, Andre Gqeberha, another bloke, got his degree. I just, you've always got to say to those guys that they can apply their minds. I think JJ Kotz is another one. You got some thinking hookers at the Stormers.
Oh, big time, mate.
Guys who've gone out and actually done their studies while they're playing professionally.
Yeah.
It shows we have evolved as a rugby nation.
Yes, we have.
We're no longer the water buffaloes.
Mate, the guy who deserves the ultimate prize, I think, is Dewald Duvenage, because he's a player, a coach, and I think he's studying a degree in law. The guy is, I think he's 68 hours in his day. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how much sleep he gets, but he's all over it.
And isn't he involved with the Stormers team
the
for
Curry Cup?
Curry Cup.
Yeah.
Are you involved with the Curry Cup as well?
Sort of satellite hopping with some numbers, yeah.
Is it? When does the Curry Cup start?
Mate, it starts very soon, mate. I think it's middle of July. I could be wrong.
Now, have we given Leinster the Curry Cup title? Because they beat all our
They beat
teams.
us all. Yeah.
Is there still interest in the Curry Cup? When you look within the, we all have our views on what the Curry Cup should be or should be called. But you work with these players now, those that aren't involved with the Stormers or on the peripheral of the Stormers. How big is the Curry Cup in terms of prep for the URC and to bring a lot of those youngsters through?
Well, I think we've got a very sort of yin and yang, or no, that's not the right way of saying, just polar opposites in the player group in South Africa, because you've got guys who are Springboks who play every single weekend, 12 months of the year. And then the guys who are lower down on the totem pole sit around for months waiting for competitions to come along so they can actually play and display their wares, And so I think the Curry Cup is a massive opportunity for those guys to be noticed and to get some tape, to get some footage on tape, and so people can see what they can do and they can develop as players and get more experience. So I think this kind of competition, whether you want to call it the Curry Cup or not, I think is massively important and probably needs to be expanded and tweaked to be, I would say, not more relevant, but just more value. And so, I think that's probably part of what the guys at SA Rugby trying to do with the global season is just try to find some alignment so that these things can work together more smoothly and more efficiently. But for that player group, that this is their shot at catching some eyes, it is a very important competition.
Right, it's a Curry Cup, July. The Boks, obviously, July. Hurricanes are champions down south, 60 points to 5. Incredible performance to beat the Chiefs. Exeter Chiefs, they went down to Northampton Saints 25-15, I think it was. And in France, it's the top 14 final this weekend. It's Toulouse against Montpellier. One plays two. Antoine Dupont on fire, 71-17 against Rassie. And Rassie had beaten them just 3 weeks ago. I mean, for their domestic competition, they've peaked at just the right time.
No, absolutely. I mean, that French competition and some of the players that are on display in those top teams, some of the world's best. It's great for France. I'm not sure whether the domestic season running as long as it does is great for France, but surely the trickle down of the talent that's available there. I think if a guy like Rassie was in an environment like France, he would also do extremely well there, just because of the abundance of talent that's available that comes out of that top 14 factory.
So that's the biggest one. The biggest one this weekend in World Rugby is going to be Toulouse-Montpellier. It's the top 14 final. But when it comes to sport, the big one, it's soccer. It's Bafana. It's the FIFA World Cup. 3 a.m. Thursday morning. Get up for that one. Bafana get a positive result. They can advance to the last round of 32.
21-16.
21-16. 5-goal differential. I thought you were telling me the time of kickoff. I thought it was 300, but well played, mate. Well played. The big thing about Bafana though in Castle is you can win $1 million. It's a legacy cans. Go out there and try and buy those cans, collect them, and go into the draw. There's $1 million to be won. And while you're thinking about money, I know, Zels, I can see the dollar signs in your eyes. While you're thinking about that, your last chance this week is to register on SA Rugby Magazine, all your details. As we said, the only time you put your bank details there is when we give you the 100,000 Rand. We'll make that draw next week. Right here, Zels will be doing the draw. Fabulous. What do you say? Fabulous.
Fabulous, yeah.
Zels will be doing the draw, 100,000 Rand. We've got over 30,000 people that have entered that. So a wonderful, wonderful kind of start to the international season.
You know what they say about Cash, eh?
Cash is quinning.
He's the Lions coach.
Cash is keen. Cash is keen. And Rassie and his Springboks, they walk on water after the 80-31. And they're going to need to be a lot better to bash the Poms. But we're going to have a lot of fun next week building up the Nations Championship and talking international rugby where we don't have to talk URC until the end of September. This show was powered by Auto & General, backing champions since 1985. Insurance that's never not there. Licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.